Welcome, everyone. My name is Wendy Peart, and I work for Dunlop Art Gallery here in Regina, Saskatchewan, Treaty 4 territory. Welcome to tonight's event. It is a performance with Vanessa Dion Fletcher, and we'll be joined in discussion with Julie Rae Tucker. This performance that will be done live is called laaweewii-wiisakiimaa-pamukwsuw. We will start the session with a live performance, and it will be followed by 2 recorded performances, and then Julie will join Vanessa in discussion following. Before we get started, I would like to acknowledge that I am currently situated on Treaty 4 territory, the lands of the Cree, Ojibwe, Saulteaux, Dakota, Lakota, Nakota, and on the homeland of the Métis Nation. Through this land acknowledgement, I extend my intentions and efforts to continually support Indigenous communities and learn from them things such as land-based respect, knowledge, and honor systems. And through my work, I hope to bring communities together through learning and education by providing opportunities so that we can grow deeper in our understanding, grow deeper in our relationships, and with respect for cultures other than our own. As a part of Dunlop Art Gallery and Regina Public Library, we are dedicated to many strategic goals, such as customers will have access to Indigenous programming tied to reconciliation. So tonight's event is connected to our current exhibition by Logan MacDonald called Kawingamish, Shake Hands. And this project was funded by Sask Arts in the Artists in Communities grant. This program tonight is also in partnership with the Art Gallery of Windsor by helping us to promote tonight's event. Please note that there is some sensitive content in the third performance, which will be called the work called Testing, and it will include visuals such as blood and self-harm. So sensitive viewers may want to exercise caution during this performance. So just to let you know, that's coming up. So now I'm going to introduce Vanessa, and then we'll get started. Vanessa Dion Fletcher is a Lenape, Potawatomi neurodiverse artist. Her family is from El Napawi Latawit and from European settlers. She employs porcupine quills, wampum belts, and menstrual blood to reveal the complexity of what defines a body physically and culturally. Reflecting on Indigenous and gendered body with a neurodiverse mind, Dion Fletcher creates art using composite media, primarily working in performance, textiles, and video. So now we will watch Vanessa in her performance.
I don't know why, but it's gone. She was just a little girl, 7 or 8 years old, and I can remember her looking at her brother, sort of like that.
young woman, Indian woman, Delaware woman, that's me, a Julie woman, Oneida woman, white woman, adult woman school teacher, bad woman, good for nothing woman of poor character, be a bad woman, be a good for nothing woman. Oh wow, woman, a word. Chair, a pawn, chair, a pawn. In case of fire, hold fire alarm. Fire. This one I know. To know. Have a good fire. Have one's fire go out. Light a fire for someone. Fire is a word that changes.
Hello and welcome back. Thank you, Vanessa, for that performance and for sharing with us some of your previous performances. So now we're going to head into the discussion component, and I would like to do an introduction for Julie Rae Tucker before we begin. Julie Rae Tucker is a Windsor-based artist, independent curator, and cultural worker. She is the head of programs and collection at the Art Gallery of Windsor. Tucker holds an MFA from the University of Windsor and a BFA from Nova Scotia College of Art and Design. Her work as an artist and curator has shown across Canada and Scotland. Tucker is a founding member of the Munsee Delaware History and Language Group. She is Lenape from the Munsee Delaware First Nation and is of settler descent. I want to remind you that if you have any questions or comments, that you can use the chat fields either on Facebook or on YouTube, and we can take some of those questions at the end of the discussion. Okay, so take it away, Vanessa and Julie.
Well, Anishik, for your performance, Vanessa. Kia kumolsi.
Ni nolamalsi, ni Jivasani, ni dolilindam.
Oh, that's great. So you're happy, tired, and well.
Yeah.
Me also, all of those things. It's, a little bit late here for us in the east of Saskatchewan. So thank you for inviting me to have this conversation with you. Would you like to share how we met?
Yeah, we met through the language and history group a little more than a year ago. The group started having language classes online, and I had met some other people, including Ian, through other avenues. So I got on that list, and I started joining the classes. So we really met through the pursuit of learning the Munsee dialect of the Lenape language.
Well, I totally knew of your existence before because, we're always like keeping our eyes out for other Lenape people, especially who work in the arts. So it's so great that you showed up in one of our classes. That was really great. And it has been so great to meet Lenape people from all over North America. So it's been a really special time, even, through the pandemic. Yeah, so I wanted to start with this quote that I came across recently and I had shared with you. It's from filmmaker Alethea Arnick-Burrell, "Resistance Through Beautiful Things." And when I've heard Alethea speak in Q&As at Imaginative, she always begins by speaking her language and reminding the audience that there is other languages besides French and English in this country. And also inspirationally, that speaking your language is an act of resistance, even just one word. And with her work, she brings light to the cultural practice and foodways that have become taboo or maligned through the processes of colonization that continue today. And by doing the work, work as the artist or filmmaker, and trying to embody that knowledge is something that she does in her practice so well. And I think that I see that in your practice. So I just wanted to lay that quote out there to just to start our conversation in a good way. So I'd love to talk about laaweewii-wiisakiimaa-pamukwsuw. And if we could just start maybe at the beginning of how you came up with the performance, and perhaps just the significance of the translation.
For sure. So in our language class, we started learning the words for the different colors in the fall, and So we had to learn the word laaweewii-wiisakiimaa-pamukwsuw, purple. And it's kind of funny experience because we were struggling to learn this new word that's so long. Our teacher Karen would get us to say the syllables backwards with the longer words to help us. So we probably spent like 20 minutes at least on this one word. And and then we learned that it's so long because what we're saying is the color of wild grapes. And in English, we say that this color behind me is purple. And it's a short word, it's a noun. We just know that the word purple goes with the color. And it was so beautiful to learn that in our language, that we describe a part of the land, and we describe something that would feed us. And so every time we talk about purple, we talk about the land and sustenance. And I really wanted to think about what is the color purple. I started thinking about what those wild grapes would look like, and what were other significant purple things in my life. And I do the other important aspect is that I do a lot of quill work. So I love watching the quills be dyed with natural materials. So one of the liquids I used in the performance was mallow flowers. So I recently used mallow flowers to dye quills, and the quills just soak up this color, and it looks like so much fun to be a little quill in the dye bath, soaking up the color. So in this performance, I just want to be drenched in laaweewii-wiisakiimaa-pamukwsuw, drenched in purple.
And you also spoke, I know you also told me something that I didn't know, that, grapes are indigenous to this country, and they call them Concord grapes, which is the only grapes that I like, and I, just love them so much. And it was so interesting to learn that. So that's what you're drinking in the bottle as well, right? The Concord juice.
Yeah, so I did a little bit of research and found out that, so I looked up what, the sound is my air conditioner. So yeah, the color of wild grapes. So I looked up what the species of wild grapes that would have grown in Lenape-Hoking, which is Lenape territory, in New York. And one of the species I found was the fox grape. And that grape was then cultivated into a Concord grape, and is used in juice and jelly and lots of things today. So it was interesting to find out that it's your favorite grape, and that it's that this thing that we're eating all the time, that we didn't know had this connection to our traditional territory.
Yeah, after that, I found a Lenape soda that you can buy. So maybe we'll have to see if we can find that. So also, you brought in wampum shells. I was just wanted to say that I'm wearing a pair today. Could you talk about the significance of that in the performance as well?
Yeah, the wampum shells are clam shells, and the clams live along the coast, along the Atlantic coast, and they're really important because they were carved into beads, and then used on strings or in were then woven into belts. And these strings and belts record really important treaties and agreements amongst Indigenous nations. And some famous wampum belts are the 2-row wampum belt and the Haudenosaunee Confederacy belt. But there's hundreds of them. Often in Toronto and Ontario, we'll talk about the dish with one spoon wampum belt. Yeah, so it seemed like that was another really important purple, because the wampum belts are, the beads are always made with the quahog shells, which is the ones that I had in the performance, the purple ones, as well as whelk shells, and those are white, so they're purple and white, and that binary color system is used to make amazing patterns and agreements.
I always appreciate in different ways that performance artists sort of record the performance as it's happening. Could you talk a little bit about the fabric that you were dyeing in like your shirt and the different strips of fabric?
Yeah, so I had this shirt made, and what it is there's the pattern is quill work. So it's a quill work that I made, and I scanned an image of it, and then I had that image printed onto fabric, and I made it. Well, actually, I cut the pattern, and then my lovely helper got her grandmother to help to do the sewing. So there's lots of help going on. Yeah, so again, it's kind of the way I always think about the quill work that I do is often two-dimensional, and a lot of traditional quill work would be sewn onto moccasins or on baskets, on things that we would wear or use. And a lot of the work I do, like I said, is two-dimensional, and it's kind of removed from the body. But I've been making that work, thinking about the ways that that I can bring the quill work that I do back into relationship with the body. So kind of this performance, is a way of having that experience in my body of the colors dripping all over me, and then I wear, a garment that has some quill work that I've made where I'm dyeing it. So this also becomes a kind of nice record of the performance, in a different way.
So do you see yourself, since we're learning all the colors, do you see yourself making like a rainbow of performances, like an ongoing series? And if you're thinking about like how you present that in different ways?
Absolutely. I did a few weeks ago another version. I had a few different, I had yellow and pink, but the pink ended up being the prominent color, and I titled it I Want Pink Drip. Ni Nahani, and I forget the rest of the words right now.
I feel you.
And so very similar, the colors dripping on me. I had a different location, and a different color.
You were in a cool like 50s pink bathroom or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Saw that on Instagram. Yeah. I'm super jealous of that shirt, by the way. Just saying. Hint, I'll trade you some time. So you mentioned quills a lot, and I always think for artists, like especially an artist that works with materials, like finding that and sort of like becoming very strong in it, Could you talk about where you found quills, like how you like started working with them?
Yeah, I learned beadwork a little bit in kind of my mid-20s, and I was making a lot of work I was thinking about menstruation and making work representing menstrual blood. And an artist, Cheryl Rondell, suggested that if I used quills, I could dye them with my menstrual blood. It didn't work out. They didn't take at all. But that got me thinking about quill work, and it was a long process. The first quills I ordered off the internet, and to kind of get them into my life, and started using them in my artwork. That's when I made the video we saw testing. So I made a couple pieces where using the quill as a performance object, and using it for its significance as a cultural object, and really keeping them whole. And it wasn't until years later that I pursued learning how to do the embroidery stitches. So I now know different ways to manipulate the whole quills into different forms.
Yeah, they're beautiful. Anyways, if anyone needs to know that, they just have to go to Instagram.
But I wanted to just go back for a second.
Yeah.
So I did the pink performance, and tonight was purple. And I think the next one I'm gonna do will be Pungso, which is brown or gray. And it's the same word for both colors. So I think that could be an interesting way to think about the different colors and in this performance.
Have you thought of like what you're going to use as pigments yet, or are you still researching?
Still researching. Black walnut's one of my favorite brown and grays.
Yeah, that's indigenous to a Carolinian forest, so I'll keep an eye out for you. What else was I going to ask you? Yeah, like do you want to talk a little bit about testing? I was thinking, like when I was thinking of it, like for my mind, I was thinking of like testing your like blood for like blood sugar for like diabetes. That's where sort of my mind went. But I also think like, do you think the work's like about like resistance, like, or yeah, because I'm just going back to the idea of resistance through beautiful things, because quills are really beautiful.
Yeah, I think that I think quills are one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen, and I also I think that my blood in different forms in my kind of physical body and all of the liquids that are part of it is also one of the most beautiful things that I see. But there's also, that video has a, pointed, quite literally, pointed moments, right, where a very sharp object is piercing my finger, and that could be thought of as, violence. That some people find it very difficult to watch, and I think that one of the things that I was really striving for was to visualize the boundaries between my external self and my internal self. So we could think about that, different ways of self-presentation and how we present ourselves to the world, or what we kind of protect from the world. but it's also kind of quite literal, right? I was really in some of those shots, you can, because the tip of the quill is really dark and I have really pale skin, you can see the dark tip underneath my layers of skin. And then, yeah, I think about just kind of where the inside of myself begins. And then we experience ourselves, or some of us, I should say, experience ourselves as pretty solid physical beings. But there's so many ways that we leak and shed around. So the kind of boundaries of our physical bodies are maybe not as solid as we sometimes think they are, or want them to be.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, I just wanted to like bring, I have the dictionary. So just wanted to talk about finding language, but I also, because we're like running low on time, but I wanted to ask about your grandma, because you've mentioned her a few times, and I always like love the idea of like, what would my grandma think about this performance or what I do? So could you talk about your grandma and her impact on, your work?
Yeah, she, her name's Audrey, she passed away in 2013. Her name is Audrey Dion. She was born Audrey Tobias, and she's our Lenape matriarch in our family. And she was really known for really valuing family and really helping to keep her siblings and her family close together against lots of colonial odds. And she was a skilled sewer. She sewed all the clothes for her family, growing like as an adult, all of her children, and her husband's clothes. Yeah, so I really like bringing in, I appreciate for those reasons, kind of continuing to use fabric and making some garments, and I've made some myself, and I also know when to ask for help. And what else should I say? Yeah, she was a big supporter of my work while she was alive. She had a lot of disabilities in her older age. It was really hard for her to physically talk. So it was hard to kind of communicate in that way. But yeah, there's lots of ways that I try to connect with the things that she taught me and my family and her memory.
Shik, Vanessa, thank you for sharing with me about your grandma. It's really been on my mind lately. So, and my grandma's a big influence in my life and everything I do. So thanks so much. This has been a really great conversation. Oh, Wendy's here. Hi, Wendy.
Hi. I'm not interrupting you, am I?
No, I think it was on a good note, like grandma talk.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I really want to thank you, Vanessa, Julie, for your very for unpacking some of that stuff regarding the performance, and thank you for filling out my knowledge about cultural objects and about the significance of the language and how it relates to the culture so strongly, and it also relates to worldviews so strongly. So that's really wonderful to hear about that. I also really want to thank Karen, our interpreter. So thank you so much, Karen, for being here tonight. So I just want to wrap up this evening's event. I want to remind people that the Logan MacDonald exhibition is still on display at Central Gallery until June 26th, which is this Saturday. Everyone still has a few days if you're in town to go and see it. I also again want to thank Sask Arts for generous funding for the project. And I also just want to tell our viewers that if you like to continue seeing more great programming from Dunlop Art Gallery and RPL, it's really helpful if you can fill out a survey online. It's done very, very quickly and easily online. I'm just going to put that in the chat box. And that helps us to continue bringing to you this kind of programming free of charge, and open now to very many audiences as we go more and more online. So thank you so much, and I hope everyone has a great night, and I hope to see you all again very soon, in person. I hope to see everyone in person too, and to meet Julie and Vanessa in person, and Karen. Okay, have a good night, everyone.